There we go. All right. Good morning, everyone. It is today. What is today? The 3rd of May. Wow. May 3rd already. This is really crazy. I mean, last month just flew by. Um, and it is Monday. I'm already dirty in the shop. I hope everybody had a good weekend. It was an okay weekend. Didn't do a whole lot. Did ride my bike a little bit this weekend. Got a good ride on the bike this weekend. Weather was um, iffy on Friday, but it turned out Saturday turned into a gorgeous afternoon. So I took advantage of that, hopped on the bike. And then yesterday I actually met a friend for a little while, hung out outside, but got a nice visit, which was nice because it's nice to just kind of be able to chat with a friend in person. It's a weird concept, right? But anyway, yeah, so that was fun, and didn't really do that much in the shop this weekend, uh, which is okay. I mean, I kind of, everybody needs a break from stuff. And my allergies, I don't take that back. I don't really have allergies too often, but there's about a week or so period in the spring where something blooms or something pollinates and spreads its stuff in the air, and whatever that thing is, it zeroes in on me. And probably from my long bike ride on Saturday, I sucked in a bunch of it. So yesterday I was popping some antihistamines and stuff, and I feel better today. Still a little congestion, but not too bad. But yeah, I mean, it's when my car is like neon green right now from all the pollen. So there's a lot of pollen in the air, and it is what it is. It's that time of year, so makes the bees happy and everything else. Let's see, anything going on that we need to talk about? I'm going to turn this fan down. Hang on a second here. It doesn't need to be up this high at the moment. I had emptied my container on my dust deputy, which was full, and so when I dump that, it sends up a big plume of dust in the air. So I had my my air filter cranked up on high just to kind of mitigate some of that, because I did it just a few minutes ago and I didn't want like a big hazy cloud falling around in the air here as we were on. But speaking of being on, hang on a second. I'm going to do one quick thing because I need to just make sure, even though I see audio indicators on my computer over there, I just need to make sure that you can actually hear me. So, and that's all I need to do. I just check the feed. Speaking of the feed, I am simulcasting this on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. So if you would like to pop in, say hi, you can just jump in the chat window there. I try to monitor it as often as I can while I'm working in the shop. That's not always possible, but if I do see your name in there, if you do say something, please, throw in comments, questions, salutations, whatever, and I will try to recognize them as quickly as I can. Anything else? Just if you need to, my down on the bottom here, you can see them right here, that area right there. Those are my socials. So if you want to check out my woodshop page on Facebook, or my Instagram, or my Twitter feed, or I don't do a lot on Twitter, but I'll throw stuff up there occasionally. Also, all of my other socials are up there. So if you want to watch on Twitch or YouTube or Facebook, which might be different than where you're watching now, the addresses are down below. Check them out. I am usually here. I have been here. This is episode 26. So pretty consistently for the past, 5 weeks or so? Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 o'clock Eastern time until, I don't know, 12:30, 1:30. Just depends on what I'm doing as to how long I stay. Today's a big day for me, though, because it is COVID vaccine number 2 for me today. So that's an awesome thing. I get to do that this afternoon, go get my second COVID vaccine shot. And then a couple of weeks from today, I can sort of be a normal person again, which is kind of nice, or at least alleviate some of my fears of getting sick and stuff. So that's a big deal, and it also means I can go visit my parents, which is another big deal. So I'm going to be planning a trip to visit them in a few weeks because I haven't seen them in a long time, and obviously I was supposed to go out there last summer for my sister's wedding, and that was right at the time that Texas was really going through the roof with cases, and I had to say sorry, can't go, which broke my heart. But you know what? It was the safe thing to do. My parents are of that age where they were more susceptible, and the last thing I would want to do is get on an airplane and take it to them, and I would feel horrible. So I opted to stay home, but luckily I still have my flight credit, which is nice. And I think United, I got an email from them that they've actually extended flight credits that were canceled due to the pandemic, and they've extended those through sometime in 2022, which if you had a flight that you canceled, that's an awesome option right there. So kudos to United for extending that out so far. I will hopefully be using mine prior to that because my folks are in Texas and I'm in Virginia, so I'm not driving, I will be flying. But I'm also excited at the prospect of actually being able to do some travel. Travel is one of my great loves. I love traveling. I love foreign country traveling, which right now is, still kind of dicey on the edge depending on where you want to go. I have some friends that just got back from Egypt, which was, wow, quite a trip. I can't believe that, I would have been a little hesitant about going to Egypt, but then they sent pictures and it was like they were the only ones there. Like they were in all these famous places and there was no crowds or anything. So, yeah, they had an amazing time, and I can't wait to throw the dart at the globe again and find a place to go and travel. My last big trip was to Nepal. I went there for about 3.5 weeks and hiked all through the Himalayas, and that was awesome. So maybe not something quite so far, but maybe I'll do some section hiking on the Appalachian Trail. I would love to do the John Muir Trail out in California. So anyway, vaccine opens up possibilities. So that's why I'm excited about that today, even though hopefully I don't have any side effects, but we'll deal with those if we have to. So let's get down to brass tacks here because we got a couple things to do in the shop today. I have all of my cherry bases that we were working on. Those have all been sprayed. They've been stained and sprayed, lacquer sprayed, and they are down in my basement, hanging out down there, just curing. And once they get cured, I'll pop some photos of those to go ahead and list those for sale. When I do that, I'll take some of the photos and put them up in here so you can see what they look like after they've been photographed and such. So I'll show you some of those. But I have this batch of bases, pardon me. I have this batch of bases that I've been working on. These are slightly different bases. These are for a machine called a 301. If you've been watching, there's two different styles of the 301. There's what they call a short bed and a long bed. And I made a base that would accommodate both styles, the short and the long bed. And I've got one here. I've got one, hang on. There we go. So for those of you who've seen this, I apologize, but just in case anybody's tuning in who doesn't know what the heck I'm talking about, this is a 301 machine. Now, this 301, and it has a short bed right here. See, this bed right here is kind of short. I didn't turn this camera on, I don't think. Let me turn on this camera. And then that way we have the side view as well. Let me see if that one's on here. That would be camera number 4. Yes, it is. All right. So I can turn it this way, maybe a little bit easier for you to see this. So this right here is the bed extension. So this is the bed of the sewing machine right here. And usually on a regular sewing machine, it's a solid piece that comes all the way out. On the 301, it tips up so that you can get to where the bobbin is down here. There is a long bed version of this. The long bed version extends all the way out to here. So this, it's about twice as long as this one. So the long bed and the short bed both share the same dimensions from here to here, same dimension. The only thing different is the length of the bed. So when I set out to create this base, because I got a lot of people asking, hey, are you going to make any bases for the 301? When I set out to make this, I was like, well, I don't want to have to make a bed for this size and then make a base. I don't want to make a base for this size machine and then have to make one that's this long for this size machine. So what I came up with was making a single base that would accommodate a short bed with a lid. Is this where's my little test lid? I don't know where my test lid is. With a little lid that would fit in here. This one's a little big. That was my first test. I don't know where my second one went to. Oh, here it is. Let me get rid of the one that doesn't fit, get the one that does fit. So all I did was I made an extension to that bed so that it fits in here like this. And now it's a nice work surface that goes and extends all the way to the front of the base. And if you have a long bed, just take that out. And then your long bed will extend to the full length of this base. So basically it's a twofer. You can use a short bed and a long bed in here. I include the lid, so it doesn't matter which one you have. If you don't have if you have a long bed, you don't need this. You just set it underneath the machine inside the base or whatever. If you do have a short bed, which are more common, by the way, the short beds are a much more common machine than the long beds. At least that's my understanding. So if you do have a long bed, you just take this, store it underneath. If you have the short bed, well, now you've got a bed extension that you can use to extend that out, get a little bit extra room. It's a nice sewing machine surface. So that's kind of what I came up with. That's my history of the 301 base. Okay, I'll set this down below. All right, so getting back to the base now, I had to make these lids that would accommodate for that short bed. I've cut the bases out. I did this last Friday. We did these on the CNC machine, and you can see they're cut really, really well here. Let me go back to this camera. So these are cut really well, nicely done. They're all the same because I used my CNC machine. I established a pattern for them. That's what this was a test cut for the CNC. So when I got this sized exactly right, I took a piece of figured maple and put that down and made these cuts on here. And now what I need to do is I need to get these thinned down to the right thickness because they're very thick. You can see it's pretty thick. This is like 3/8 of an inch thick. Just let me get it real quick. Yeah, so these are about 3/8 of an inch thick. This was a thicker board that this is half of it right here. I basically cut this and it was twice this thickness. I went over to the bandsaw, cut it in half, and that way I got thinner pieces. So this was one of the pieces that it was cut out of right here. But they're still too thick for this base. This is not very deep. Let me see how deep this is here. It's not very deep at all. This is, well, it's more than an eighth, but less than 3/16. So 32nd of an inch in there somewhere. Anyway, I need to get these thin enough to sit in here and be flush with the top. What that means is that I stick them in the base and then I take my pencil and I draw a line. That's what this line is that goes around. You see this line right here. So I stuck it in here. I took a pencil, I traced around the edge, and that gave me a line. Yeah. So that gives me a line that I know is going to fit inside this base right here. Now, that's actually a little above the base, but then I can go through and refine that with hand tools, like use a hand plane to take it down to its final size. Because I've got such a thick piece of wood here, doing this entirely with a hand plane would be a pain in the rear. It would take a long time because it just would. So what I can do is mark all of these. And so I've got a flat part right here. This is very flat. So I'm putting the flat part into the groove down here where it's going to sit into this lip, which is basically a rabbit's what it is. But then I can mark the edge on here so I know, as I mark that edge, I know which part needs to come off. And so these are done. And let me get one more of these, put the flat part down. But basically by doing it this way, I can take that down almost to that pencil mark on my jointer. And then once I have that flattened out to almost this mark right here, well, that's going to allow me to basically put them in the base and finish it off with the hand plane, but take a majority, I mean, that's a lot of wood, take off at least 1/8 of an inch off of here. And that would be a lot of work with a hand plane. So we're going to skip the hand plane. We're going to go over to the jointer and I'm going to run these through. I'm going to take light cuts because 2 reasons. A, this wood is figured. I don't know if you can see the figure in there, but it has some really nice figure in it, which is one of the things I was looking for when I was figuring out what wood to use for my lids. But it does have some really nice figure in it. The problem with figure is that basically the grain direction changes like all over the place, especially like this one has this crazy grain that's changing directions all over. And that, because I have a straight blade on my jointer, means that it will, it could have the potential to give me some tear out in my pieces of wood. Very likely I will get tear out in here. Even with the hand plane, I will still maybe get a little tear out. I will sharpen my blade a little bit. I'll just give it a touch-up sharpen before I start doing it with the hand plane. But if I take really light cuts, that minimizes the amount of tear out that I'll get. But let's go ahead and just jump over to the joiner. I think I got a camera set up there for the joiner. And I'm going to grab my hearing protection and we can walk over here. Now I will just pass these through. I will use a push pad like this. I've got these push pads. These are Bench Dog tools. I like these. They're kind of a neoprene bottom with a really sturdy handle on there. And it very, very confidence inducing. I'm checking my depth of cut is really, really light on here. So I'm going to leave it that way and I'm going to run the first one through here, making sure I have the correct size. Now, actually to help myself out here, hard for walking in front, I'm just going to mark this so that I know, because once I flatten this out, I won't know which side I've been working on. So I'm just putting a B on here so I know that that was the bottom that I used. That part was down. It's going to get sanded off, but it allows me to always be working on the removing wood from the same side. And that way my pencil mark, I can work down to that pencil mark and it's not going to change by accidentally flipping and running the wrong side. Okay, enough chat. Let's do some chop. So just to give you a little run through, here is the back. You can see that I wrote the little letter B on here right there. It's in pencil, so it might be hard to see. But we're cutting this off on this side, and we're working down to this pencil line. Now, it's not cutting. See, this is why you can't use a jointer to completely flatten both sides of your wood, because it's cutting more off. It's slanted. This side's flat, but this side's going to be a little off. Jointers are great for flattening one side. Oh, I'm out of focus here. There we go. Jointers are great for flattening one side, but not for both sides. That's why you have a planer. But we're going to use a hand plane to do this. But I'm getting this down to thickness so you can see. I'm trying to get it here so you can see. So right here you can see where I'm approaching that pencil line. Now over here on the other end, I'm pretty close over here. So I'm going to put more pressure on this side of the pad, but as I'm running it through, I'm going to put more pressure on this side and try to get this a little bit closer to this side. This side's thinner now than this side. This is a little thicker. So I'm going to put a little pressure over here so that it takes a little bit more of a deeper cut on this edge. But I'm getting close to that line now. But I really need to make sure that I don't go past it. I can hit it, but because it's a little above my surface, but I don't want to go too far past it. Okay, so even though if you look here, you can see I've got about a 1/16 of an inch or so to get to that right there. But over here, if we come to this edge, that pencil line now is touching right here. And that means I do not want to run this through the jointer anymore, because I do not want to, and the same thing on this side, it's actually touching over here too. I do not want this to get any thinner. If I take it into my base here, you'll see that this edge is just above that lip. I don't want to go, especially this one. See how that's almost down to the surface right here? If I go too far, then it's going to be too low. So I'm going to stop right there on this one, and then I can always, refine that. I will refine that with the hand plane, but I'm not going to push it. I'll just move on to this next one, and we'll go from there. But that is the problem, and that is why you can't use a jointer to get two parallel flat sides. It just doesn't work. You can flatten one side, then you use then you use a planer that will cut on this side using this flat side as a reference, and then you get parallel sides. Problem is, there's no reference for the planer. It just runs till it's flat. So it doesn't know what the other side is doing. And that's why, yeah, you have to be sure to make your planing separate from your jointing to get that parallel squared up wood. All right, let's do another one. Really helpful. All right. Okay, so this one, we're right down to the line on this corner right here. So we're gonna hold off on doing any more on that one. And let's just do this last one right here. Now, the other thing is, depending on, I'll make a couple of passes. If I see any chip out from the jointer, usually what I'll do is I'll flip that piece of wood around, and that makes the grain going in a different direction, which hopefully eliminates that chip out. So depending on which way I start these going through, I might flip them. I don't flip them like I always keep the bottom part up, but I might flip the direction to which I feed it, because that will help mitigate any tear out that I'm getting. So I always check that bottom for tear out after the first few passes. So let me go over to this camera and get you a different view. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So right here, I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's little tear outs going on in here, and that's due to the direction of the grain. So what I will do is flip this piece of wood over. I was feeding it through like this with this rounded part next to the fence. I'll flip it over this way and send it through and see if I can get rid of that tear out now. But really that's your only option, especially with figured wood, is trying to keep that direction that you're sending it through the jointer. If I had a different blade setup on here, like if I had a helical blade, that wouldn't be an issue because it shears at an angle. But because this is a flat blade, you're more prone to tear out, especially on figured wood. Let's see if this helps. Yeah, that one got down to just touching that line right there. It got down to touching it, so I don't want to stray from that any. If I go, like I said, if I go past there, I'm kind of at the point of no return. I do have one extra piece here that I could cut one more out of it if I need to. I'm holding this in reserve just in case something happens. I'm hoping that isn't the case. But these now will be fitting into here. Now, the other thing I'm going to have to do is once I put these in here and once I level this out, that base will belong, or that lid will belong to that base because of variances in the minor variances in the thickness. Once I get this matched to one by leveling it out, it's going to live there forever. So I will do my best to keep those pieces together, maybe make a little bit of mark in here, number them 1 and 1 or something like that to keep that up. All right, so now that we've got that, what I need to do is I need to get my hand plane here. And for this, I will use good old reliable, number 62, low angle, bevel up jack plane. But I'm going to give it just a touch up here so that it has, do I need to do it? I'm just trying to think here if I can just kind of give it a little, I don't know if I need to do the whole Megillah here for touching it up. I hate to introduce any issues, but sharpened planes just perform better. I mean, it is the way it is. So I might take this out and just give it a touch up really quickly. What am I looking for? I need a paper towel over here. That's the end of that paper towel roll. All right. And oh, I need a large screwdriver. So hang on a second. Do this. So what I'm going to do is, I was thinking, oh, I'll just do this by hand, but I'm going to go ahead and get this locked into the sharpening guide. I just wish I had my Veritas sharpening guide. Makes me sad. And Veritas is like, well, we have them in stock if you want to buy them here. I'm like, yeah, but my gift certificate was with Woodcraft, not Veritas. So that's where the money was coming from. All right, I'm going to put this is my little holder that I made. It just basically, this end right here fits into my leg vise, and then it has just a little ledge, and that ledge is enough to, let me move this out of the way. So that ledge, once I lock this in, like that, that ledge accommodates this little pad and then my my sharpening stone. Now this is a diamond stone, so it has a 300 and a 1000 side on the diamond stone. And there's my phone going ting. Where is my phone? There's my phone. Make sure it's, oh. So anyway, the next thing I need to do is remove the blade from the plane. Now this is a really simple setup here. So this blade, I take the cap off, and then the blade just rests inside. And there's a lot of dust in here too. So I could take this blade right here, and the blade is bevel up. So for those of you who are not knowing what I'm talking about, so there's a flat part of the blade right here. This is flat, and then the bevel is on this side. So I can take this bevel. On most planes, the bevel goes down, but on this plane, the bevel is up, which allows it to sit at a more acute angle to the work surface. So, oh, okay. I'll answer that in a minute. So the one thing I need to do now is, well, two things. number one is I'm just going to touch up this back and make it, this is actually, the back of it is what really makes the cut. You want the back of this to be super flat. At least right here at the tip, it needs to be flat all the way across. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this lapping oil right here. It's lapping fluid from Trend, and I put it on here. Just a drop will do. And all that does is any micro chips of iron, or not iron, but steel that come off of here kind of float in the solution and don't get clogged up. But all I'm going to do is take this, and I'm pushing the flat part down on here and just making sure that that is super flat. Because like I said, that's actually where most of your cutting comes, from that flat edge right there. So if that's flat, that's half the battle. Mine is very flat, but I'm just making sure that there's no nicks or anything on there, which there shouldn't be. And you'll hopefully see a little black on here. This is not a great camera angle for you, but you'll hopefully see a little black on here. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? As long as I'm doing this, let me readjust. I've got a camera over here. I'm going to turn this fan off right now because I'm not making any wood stuff. Let me swing this camera around and get a little bit closer view of what I'm doing here. Whoop. Let's zoom that in a little bit, just so you can see what it is I'm working on. That's more better. Just lock this down. There we go. So I'm going to try to give you a little bit better view of what I'm doing here. This is not a how to sharpen your blades segment at all, but it just does give you a little bit nicer view here. So all I'm doing is taking the flat part, putting it on the little 300 grit side, rubbing it back and forth. And you can see it's like gets a little suction thing in there. It's pretty darn flat. So when I get my paper towel here and rub this off, any of this black that you see on here is basically steel coming off. That's what the black is. So there should be some, and there is some black on here. And you can see all that nasty black is actually steel that came off. And then this is pretty smooth and flat on the back here. And that's what I'm looking for, is to make sure that I've got a really nice edge there. Now, I'm going to flip this over. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to just flip this. And I'm going to do a 1000 on the back here. Just put a drop of this down. And I'm going to go ahead and do the back again, and we're going to do it on the 1000 side. And I'm just putting moderate pressure, trying to keep the pressure even across the entire width of this. And my pressure's up towards the front because, like I said, that's the cutting edge. So you want to make sure that that cutting edge is very flat. All right. Now this should, look, see how it stays like that? So that means it's like super flat and creates like almost like a bond on there. So you can see, hopefully you can see that. There you go. That's really flat right there. And now the edge of this, oily, the edge that I have on here, there's like two bevels on this thing. When I did this last time, this is why I need my new guide thing. So hopefully you can see that as I flash across there, you'll see two bevels kind of shining. There's a bevel and there's a bevel kind of thing. There's two bevels. There's a really thin bevel right there. You can see the thin bevel and then a wider bevel. You really need to get this when you're mounting it into your guide, which this is a guide right here. So it slides in and then tightens up, and this holds it so that it has a wheel at the bottom here, a brass wheel, and you run this along. To get this the right measurement, you need to make sure that this is in the right place. So I believe this was on 30 right here, but you need to have it pressed up, and it needs to fit in this little notch right here. So there's you can't see that, can you? Hang on a second, let me move this. Right here. Now you can see what I'm doing. So there's degree notches in here, and it's basically stair-stepped. Hopefully you can see that. There you go. So this is stair-stepped. The wheel of the guide goes back here, and then you run your blade up to whatever appropriate degree stair step you're trying to achieve. But you have to keep it flat against these wings, which is kind of a difficult thing to do. This is another reason why I want that Veritas, because setup on the Veritas is super easy. Because this needs to be exact, because what will happen is if it's off even a little bit, you'll completely change your bevel, and that stinks, because then you have to kind of almost start from scratch again. Now I'm going to take this, and that's why I need the big screwdriver. I'm going to lock this in as best I can, and then I will run that over, and I'm just going to do it on the 1000 side. I don't need the 300s, pretty darn aggressive, and all I'm trying to do is refine that edge to make sure it's sharp. So I don't need it that way. Hang on, I have to answer an email or a text message from the boss here. So just got to do these things sometimes, you know? There we go. All right, now I will put down a little bit more of this lapping fluid on here. You can also use, which sometimes I do, you can use like window washing fluid, like window cleaner on here. I wouldn't use water on this particular stone because it's, you know, but you can use window cleaning fluid. The lapping fluid is, it's kind of an oil-based thing, but I'm just gonna rub this along here and just run it back and forth. And like I said, all I'm looking to do is touch up that edge. I don't want to create a new edge or anything else. I just want this edge to be touched up here. I do have steel filings coming off here. I can see a little bits of black, more on the right than the left. So hoping to get a little bit more on the left here too, which lets me know that it's even all the way across. There we go. Now I'm starting to get more on the left. And that way it lets me know that it's even all the way across. And I'm just going to run it back and forth across here. Like I said, I'm just touching this up. I gave it a good sharpening not too long ago, but you really want to make sure that, excuse me, if you're working with figured wood, that you're getting a nice, nice sharp edge to it. So if I look at the back here, I can see, I'm going to check that bevel. I kind of shine it in the light, and that looks good. And I feel a little bit of a, it's almost like a little bit of a wire edge. It's that metal folding over at the top. So what I can do is take this, put the flat side down, and then just drag backwards like that. And that removes that little bit of metal from the end. Now this should be really sharp. Now this, see, it's really sharp over here. Not as much over here. It's kind of surprising. I'm going to do just a little bit more. And let me close that. Let me do just a little bit more just to make sure that this thing is really sharp and sharp across the width. And hopefully that will give us a really nice cut on this stuff, because yeah, cutting, like I said, cutting figured wood can be a hassle. Now, I also have cabinet scrapers that if I get any little bits of tear out or whatever, I can usually use a cabinet scraper to get that cleaned up with, as long as it's not too big of a tear out. But you have to be careful that you're, you know, not taking too big of chunks with your plane that you get really deep tear out. If you're going to get any, you want really light tear out. All right, I think that's good enough. Good enough. So we will call it right there. And then I'm also going to just strop this. I have a leather strop in here as well. Loosen that. Take this blade out. I have a leather strop here. Let me wipe this off here. There we go. So I'm going to take the leather strop and put it up here. And I have a little bit of compound, which I did not pull out yet, but I've got some sharpening compound on here that I use. This is just a, I don't even know what this would be. It just came with my strop and stuff. So I just put on some fresh compound on here, just like this. And then I just take the blade and I'm just gonna strop this thing on here. And do like that. And I'm just honing that edge down, get it as sharp as I can without running it into my hand and cutting myself. Would be awesome. Because I have done that and that sucks. So sharp. All right, so that is our nice sharp blade. I will put all of this stuff back in its handy dandy little pouch right here. It's right here. And one day, hopefully, I will have my guide so that I can get even more precise sharpening. That is my goal, hopefully. Woodcraft. They have not answered my email, by the way. I sent them an email and said, hey, what the heck, guys? Where's my stuff? And they have not responded to my email, which is a little irksome because I sent an email to Veritas. They got back to me in 2 days. I'm a little disappointed in Woodcraft. They're usually a little more responsive than that. So do not need this. And the other thing I'm going to do is, I will wax the bottom of my plane. And that wax will allow it to glide across the top of the wood more smoothly. So I'm going to, actually, you know what, before I put this back together, why don't I go get a little wax? Generally what I use for this is, I just use a regular paste wax. You can use like a Johnson's paste wax. I've got a min wax. It's just furniture polishing wax. But that's what I use, is just a little of this stuff right here. And I will get some paper towel that is not covered in metal shavings. It's a little counterproductive. I'm just going to get a little bit on a paper towel. We're not going to go crazy. It's just a tiny bit on here, and I'm just going to wax this on right here. And then I just let that set for a minute just to kind of do its waxing thing. But yeah, you can do this on like the sides if you want. I'll go ahead and do a just because it helps to protect any metal like this. I use this same wax on all of my cast iron surfaces. So I use it on my table saw and my jointer and the bed of my bandsaw. And it not only does it help the wood move across the metal much smoother, but it adds a layer of protection so that you're not, you know, you've got from moisture, humidity, things like that. I mean, there's other things you can do, but pardon me, I'm getting messages again. Sorry. Family stuff, you know? But, you know, things need to be done. Let's see. So let me put the lid on here and always close those up because if you keep the lid on, it will keep it moist, not moist, but you know, not dried out. So I think that's probably about long enough. Like I said, I don't let it dry to a haze or anything. Just, you can see it kind of, there you go. kind of, you can see it on there. It's kind of drying out just a little bit. And I just take another piece of paper towel or a piece of soft cloth and buff that out. And that usually gives it a pretty smooth, slick surface to run across any wood that I'm working with. And like I said, it just makes it cut better. Get the other side here. So if you're going to use a blade like this, if you're going to use a plane like this to shave off the edge of a board like this, if you have a shooting board or something where you want to use your plane, it really helps to wax the sides of these so that it slides smoother on your shooting plane, on your shooting board. But words are hard for me today. I don't know why. It's Monday. All right, we've got that in there. I'm going to take and clean out the flat area there, the frog. The frog on this one is just basically part of the, it doesn't have a separate frog. The frog is the part that the blade fits into. But this one does not have a separate frog. It's just a one-piece cast because of the low angleness of it. So I'm going to take this and set it back in gently so that I don't mess up that nice edge that we just made. Just like that. Then I'll take my lever cap, put it in there, and just gently until it just touches, the screw touches right there, because I need to adjust the blade. So what I'm doing is I'm adjusting the blade so that it's even, because it can kind of move back and forth. You can see here I can move it back and forth. So I'm just going to get that squared up and even in the slot, and I'm just doing it visually. And once I get that done, I'll tighten the lever cap down like that, and then I can test it out. Now I will not test this on the wood I'm working on. I will get another board and put it. That's a big board right there. Don't need anything that big, but I just want a piece of wood to test this out on. Hang on, let me find a piece of wood here. Scrap pile to the rescue. This will work. Just a flat piece of wood here. I'm just gonna put it in the clamp right here, and I'm just gonna, because I don't think I need to basically send the blade down a little bit into the opening. I'm gonna loosen this just a hair and forward advance the blade there until it is going to make some cuts here. That's pretty smooth. So I'm getting some nice, smooth, clean shavings out of that now. And that is just what I want. Now, the way you can also tell if your blade's straight is you can run it on one side of a board, and then you can move it over to the other side of the board and see if you're getting even shavings on that side of the board, which I am. So I'm getting even shavings across the width of the blade, which lets me know that it's even, sticking out the same amount. Okay, that's done. So what we need to do now is we need to, well, I can get rid of this piece of scrap wood and I can go back to a different camera angle. So what I'm going to do now is clean up a little bit, and then we are going to use this, put that right there for a moment. We're going to use this nice sharpened plane on these lids that we just shaved down. Now I have to figure out how I want to clamp these into here, because depends on how I'm going to actually shave this down. Let's see, what I might do is, the way I made my table, kind of interesting. Hang on, I have to move a couple of things here. So I made this table so that this center section right here can lift up and then shift over just a little bit. And now, I don't know if you can see that, but here, let me show you. So if you can see now, this is actually raised up. and it gives me a bench stop. So that's the way I made this table, so I could, if I pick this up and shove it over, it actually gives me a bench stop. So now I can push stuff against it and I can plane. Now I don't know which way I need to plane on here. Let me put this oil away. So I don't know if I need to plane in this direction or this direction, and I will know that once I make one cut. It'll let me know if I'm going the right or the wrong direction, because I'll see tear out on here. That looks pretty sharp. But you can see how smoothly that just kind of runs across there. And that's my goal, is to get nice smooth shavings all the way across. I'm getting little pieces here because this has got a little bit of an undulation to it, obviously. So, but that also has to do with the grain that you get on here. But I'm getting it closer now, so this will take me a little bit to get these down. You can hear the cuts getting longer as it gets flatter and flatter. So as it starts to really flatten out, that's the thing with this plane, is this is made, I'm gonna move this bench out of the way for a moment. So this really is made to kind of get things flat, not smooth. So this is not a smoothing plane. Because of the length of the sole, it works really well at flattening. And now I'm getting longer cuts with the plane, which is good, because longer means flatter. Oh, and they're so smooth too, nice and smooth. Wow. That's the thing, is when you get a plane set up right, your finished cuts are like smoother than they would be sanding. No doubt. That looks really nice though. Very nice. All right, hang on. Hang on, sorry, lots of family business. And I'm not the fastest thumb typer. Now most of my depth on this thing is on this side, so you notice most of my cutting is on this edge of it, not this edge. Do I have another angle here? What's this one look like? Nope, not that one. This one right here, maybe. Yeah. So so most of the cutting I'm doing is actually on this edge until I get it kind of evened out. And now I'm getting cuts all the way across the piece of wood. So these shavings, as you can see, kind of run the length of that piece of wood now, which is what I'm aiming for, is to get it nice and flat. And I don't have far to go. I've got about a 32nd of an inch to get down to flat with the sides. And although this is not the most exciting of woodworking, I actually do enjoy using my hand planes. Kind of just puts you in contact with the wood. Whew, there's a little push there. Now I better be careful that I don't run up on the edge here. I don't want to go too far. So this edge, I'm going to kind of pull up a little bit when I'm doing this planing thing. And before I'm not going to extend all the way through the cut. I'm going to pull up a little bit as I get to this end, because I don't want to cut this too flat to the point where I'm starting to shave wood off of the edge here. but I'm very close on here. Very close. Okay, let's see what we got here. Yeah, that's right here needs some work. That's pretty good. All right, we're just about done with this one. I mean, it is really close. Just stack, it's easier than throwing it all away every time. Really close here. Just another pass or two. Just to kind of clean it up. One more on this edge. There we go. All right. So this is one that is now done. Now I'm going to sand this and I'm going to sand it. So I don't want to go completely down to the edge because I'm going to take probably just a hair of a thickness off when I sand anyway. So I have to leave myself just a little bit of meat on the bone there. Just a little bit, because I still have to sand this side. This was the side that was sort of flat when we did the, when I set it in here to mark it and stuff, but now this is buttery smooth from the plane. I'm trying to get a little angle here where you can see the light on here. I don't know if I can find one. Anyway, this is super smooth right here, and this not so super smooth. So that'll be sanded, but the one thing I'm going to do before I go any further is I'm going to grab a pencil and I'm going to just mark on here a number 1. And I'm going to put a number 1 on here. And now I know that these two go together. They are a match made in heaven. All right. Then we can move on to the next one. And I will grab another one of these. And why does it look like that? It's kind of weird. This one look like that? Huh. Odd that my CNC made a weird cut on here on one of these. I just now noticed it. Yeah, it's kind of strange. I may have to do one of these over again. Because let me show you what I got here. I just noticed this. If you look, these are lined up. These two are lined up. So these cuts should be exactly the same. But what I've got here is a little bit of an indent on this one right here. Look at how much, I don't know if you can see that. See this little line I drew right here? That's how much this one's rising up from inside. I don't know what happened to that. I might need to cut that again. So I may end up doing one of these again. I'm not going to use that one yet. Well, let's go ahead and use this one and put it in here. This one has a little work to be done. Let me clean up this, get all these things out of the way here. Clean up all these shavings, and then we will make some more. Like that. Alrighty. And then this is the same thing where it's going to take little, all right, now. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, right there. See that right there? I just took a big chunk out of this thing. So that tells me I'm cutting the wrong direction on this wood. So I'm going to flip the whole thing around and we are going to do it from this side and see if we don't get those chunks out of there. And all that is the fact that that grain direction, that grain is kind of running up into, so the blade's coming this way and the grain sticking up this way, it catches into it and just peels that grain right out. So hopefully we're going to go this way now and not pet against the grain there. We're not rubbing the cat's fur the wrong way. Let's see if this is a little smoother. But like I said, some of these are really figured, and getting, yeah, I think this is working. Getting that wood to cut can be problematic. So but I was definitely going against the grain on that one. And it's really hard to tell because this stuff kind of undulates and has a lot of different depth to it and movement. So figuring out the best way to go, sometimes you just have to pick a direction and make changes as needed. This seems to be better. Getting less tear out now. A little, yeah, okay. And sometimes it might be that the best grain direction is like this way, which is really kind of, that's not really an option that I have. So, you'll take the lesser of two evils. Whoop. Got a good bite on that one. Just work my way across. And I mean, this piece is really highly figured. As you can see, it's got a lot of stuff going on in that wood grain. And look at all that stuff in there. But that little chippy area that I had, which was right here, is almost gone now. I've almost got that whittled down. Try to make sure this is clean out here so it's flat. But that area is almost gone now, so I've almost got it cut down to that. And that's why I wanted to figure that out quickly while this was still a thick piece of wood, so that I had some room to clean up. And it's looking pretty good. It's pretty low on this side. I don't really need much more on this side. I need some over here on this edge. Not a lot over here. Let's see what we got here. Move that camera down just a little bit. I had to move when I switched it, and it's a little bit hard to see now. So let me see if I can get you pointed a little bit better direction here. Let's go down. There we go. That looks better. And you can really see that wood grain in that camera angle. And it's beautiful wood. I mean, it's just gorgeous. I love all that figure in there. My rough spot was right there. It's almost gone. I'm just going to try to work on the high parts now. And see if I can't get it evened out. Still kind of high over here. Not bad. Right here is a little bit too. I can feel it skipping on those waves in the grain. I can just feel it skipping. It's pretty close. It's still a little higher than I'd like it to be. Little higher. That was a good bite right there. Okay. Okay. I think we're pretty good right there. Well, I say that. Hang on a minute. Let me evaluate. Not bad there. Still kind of right here on this corner. Right here, just a little high. And you can see that. You see a little bit of shadow right here? You're seeing a little bit of shadow right along this edge. And right here, you shouldn't see that lip. That's a little high. So we still got a little bit to knock down. And because this doesn't have anything bracing on this side, it can have a tendency to slide on me a little bit, which makes it a little bit harder sometimes. But I think we're pretty close now. I think we're pretty close. And I'm going to say with some sanding, especially for both sides, that I think we're good on this one. I'm not sure if I want to go ahead and proceed on this one. I still have my CNC set up from those last cuts, and I think I might I might send this board over there and do one more. I might do one more cut here. Let me make sure this is still set up. So I'm not thrilled with the fact that this, I'm not thrilled with that cut. I don't know what happened to it. It's a very weird thing, because normally with a CNC machine, your cuts are exact. Now this, I'm going to go ahead and or was it this way? It was this way. This is the way it needs to go. All right, I think what I'm going to do is cut one more. So I'm going to mark this one as number 2, and then you don't have to worry about number 3. I'll do that off camera because these are already done. So let me mark this as number 2 and mark this as number 2. So that these belong together. And then this third one, I'm going to redo this because, well, I was looking at this and thinking this edge, see if this camera looks, yeah, this, let me show you, there you go. So this edge right here, see how thin that looks right at the point? Whereas this is a little thicker down here. And if you look at any of the other ones, like this one, this edge right here is thicker. It's just more refined. This just comes down to a sharper point. And I'm not sure why it did that. But I definitely, when I saw this, I was like looking at it and it looks like it kind of goes up right here and made a weird cut. And I'm not sure what the story was there, whether it shifted or something. But I will run another one of these on the CNC. Like I said, luckily I saved that last piece of wood. So we will put these together, and we still have things to do here. So it's not like, oh, I'm dead in the water. I can't go any further if I don't cut that. I absolutely can move further, because what I can do is move to the next step, which is I need to make bottoms for all of these bases as well. Well, the bottoms are really easy because you can see, hopefully you can see. Actually, let me go back to this camera. There you go. You can see in the bottom of these that there is a ledge, a rabbet, that has been cut all the way around the interior of this. That is what will accept the bottom. The bottom is going to be plywood. It's 1/4-inch plywood. I think it's, I get the Baltic birch, and it comes in 2x4 sheets at the Home Depot. I don't have to buy a gigantic sheet. I can just buy a 2-foot by 4-foot, 2-foot by 4? Yeah, 2-foot by 4-foot sheet, and I can cut those down to the sizes that I need. And for these, I need a width of just a hair under 6 3/4 and a length of 19 inches. So 6 3/4 by 19 inches for these. There's 3 of them. Now I will measure each one just to make sure that I'm getting the exact measurement needed for that, because as we've discovered over multiple projects, you know, wood does have a tendency to move around. So the cuts aren't always exactly the same dimension, but it is going to be pretty close. So what I'm going to do is just leave you all in limbo there for a moment. No, what I'm going to do is reset my camera here to where it was originally, and which is over here at the table saw, because we're going to go over to the table saw and we are going to cut out some panels. And I already have some wood set aside here that we can use for doing these. Because like I said, I buy these in sheets and I use them as needed for the bases. So you can see, like, here's a couple of sheets of, now sometimes the backs can be completely different than the fronts. But certainly that's wide enough. Now that's only good for probably one, but this one I can get another 2 of them out of it. So there's 2 sheets right there. So, and these are much more than 6 1/2 inches or 6 3/4 inches wide. This one's 8. The other one probably more closer to 9. Yeah, it's like 9 inches. So probably what we will start with is a little ripping, which means we will cut these lengthwise to the width that we need. And we will do that over here at the table saw. So, no, camera 3, please. There we go. We will do that over here at the table saw, and that first one was set up at 6 3/4 inches. So I'm just going to use the tape guide on my fence here to get that in. Then I will come back and measure it more exactly. I'm going to start with the short one here first, or with the single, just to get it done. I probably need to move. Let's see, is this going to interfere with my top here? No. Okay. So I need to move these bases out of the way, because they will impact the wood as it moves through there. All right, so the one that does not have a lid, that's the first one I was measuring. And that one was, as I said, just a hair under 6 3/4. 6 3/4 there. I got to measure it on all edges here. So when I measure these, let me come over here where you can see me. When I measure these, I don't just measure like right in the middle, because wood can bow slightly or whatever. So I usually try to measure it all the way across. So that's 6 3/4. So that's actually a hair under 6 3/4. And that's 6 3/4. So I'm going to go slightly thinner than 6 3/4. These don't have to be all the way to the very edge. They can be off a little bit. So I'm going to just make it like, I'll take a 1/16 of an inch off of that. So we'll make it, so it's 11, was that 11/16? Something like that? Yeah, we'll make it 11/16. Let me make sure I've got a good blade mark there. And right there, that'll work. All right, and this is not difficult to do. My blade height is actually set up really well. I should have, let me just check. So both these edges are flat. I'm just checking it against my table saw here to see if there's one edge that's flatter than the other, but they appear to be very flat. So I will just run it through and be done with that one. I need some ears for this, and I need to plug my table saw in. I already have the the dust collection hooked up. I did that this morning. And we will plug the power in and we will run this one through, get a quick sizing on it. I do need to flatten this out all the way. Okay, that'll work. All right. Oh, my remote. And off we go. Okay. Lost the wide scrap back there. Now, this particular piece right here actually had a knot hole over in this end that got filled. So I will pull out, and I like to look at both sides when I do this, but I will pull the section that I need for the base out of this side right here. But for right now, this one should, and I can actually test it, just kind of slide it into that slot right there. Hello. Oh, whew, wrong side. Made me worry. There we go. So that'll fit in just like that, and we can see that that's a good fit. This rabbit is much wider, so I was like fitting it in here going, oh, what the heck? How did I mismeasure that? But I did not. We're fine. Relax. Breathe. Breathe, Jeff. There we go. So we're good right here. I'll just have to cut this to width, and then we'll work on rounding the edges. But I'm going to leave this one sitting with this one right here for right now. I'm going to move it over to the side. And then I need to measure the next base over here. I'm going to take the bottom plate. I've already numbered these ones that have been flattened down, so I can take it out and set it aside. And then I'm just going to get my tape measure here. Now this one is a little over 6 3/4. And that's what I was saying, is it's like you have to measure, you can't just assume they'll all be exactly the same. So this one is just a hair over 6 3/4. So I'm going to go ahead and readjust this fence. Give myself a little extra room over here. It's too much. A little much. Right there. Okay. But at the same time, if I'm cutting this, let's make sure that both of these are going to accept that same size. Otherwise, I'll have to cut these to length first before I send them through to cut the width. But let me check this one. Because remember, this is a much longer board. So if I cut them all, it's like I want to cut at least to the widest width first. I can always shave it down later, I guess. But these look to be of equal size. So I believe I'm good. I can use both of these with the same cut. So I will do that now. Okay, this is interesting. A little kickback from the saw on this piece. You don't normally get that on plywood, but I guess sometimes. All right, so I've got two pieces here. Now this one has another one of those void fills up here. There's a little knot, but that's not bad. That's not really filled. So I can probably get what I need to out of this section and still avoid that. Avoid the void. This fits in here perfectly, and it should fit in here exactly the same way, and it does. Okay, so these are awesome. They work great. Next step, I think what I might do is just take these over to the compound miter instead of trying to cut them on here. Cross-cutting on the table saw, especially for long pieces of wood like this, is kind of a pain. This is what the cross-cut saw is made for. The only thing I have to do now is to rearrange my shop a little bit. So I've got to put put my power over here. I got to get rid of this board. This is actually the parent, this board right here. Sorry, you can't see me. This board, which was up on my crosscut, is the parent piece of the lids that we were making. This is a beautiful piece of figured maple, and I have a, I don't know if you can see it, but there's actually the drawing of a guitar neck on here because I've had this singled out to make some guitar necks, some tiger maple, figured maple, you know, flame maple, whatever you want to call the maple. I was going to do some really nice guitar necks with that. So I still salvaged enough to be able to do that with and make lids, which is good. All right. I need two things. One, I think I stuck it in my back pocket. I need to measure, I need to measure the width now for this one. So let's see what we've got for a width here. And then we'll just go over and cut this. So this is just a hair over 19. It's 19 plus a 16th. And that looks to be all the way across the board there. So I will take this and I'm going to measure on this one 19 plus a 16th right there. Okay, and let's get our trusty woodpecker square here. We will run that right up to my pencil and strike a line. There we go. All right, so this will be my first cut. I still need to move the, not ready quite yet. I need to move the dust collection because this is quite dusty. But I can get this set up for the first cut like that. And grab the dust collection and just going to move this over a little bit. It makes it a little easier to get it in over here. So this is just the kind of the pain with doing this, but it is one of the dustiest machines in my shop. So I need my remote and my ears. All right, let's get this one lined up and cut. We'll need to loosen the free. So this is the coolest thing about this. I don't know if you can see that or not. I know I'm kind of off frame a little bit, but this is a very cool saw right here. This is the Delta Razor, or I'm sorry, not Razor, Cruiser, and great saw. All right. So this should be my first panel, and should be in this piece right here. So we can check, like I said, the width is good on this, and then our length, I check the length by just, it's the corners are not rounded yet, so it won't fit in there perfectly yet. But I can check that length just by kind of wedging it or moving it to the side and letting it fit in there like this. And that's the length on this one is perfect. So I'm going to leave that over here with this box. Let's measure this one, because this will be the second piece that we have over there. This one needs to measure to about the same. It's 19 plus that 16th of an inch. So let me go grab this board and we will mark that off on here and get rid of this little chippy piece on the side. All right, same process. Oh, I'm just gonna miss that knot. That's awesome. I was worried I was gonna run into that knot, but we are cutting just in front of it, and that is gonna work out perfectly. Make a mark and like that. All right, so you can see here's that knot with the filler in it, which I'm not a big fan of the filler, but there is my line struck just in front of it. So sometimes things work out. You gotta love it. All right, come back over, get this lined up, and we can cut this one. And right on that line, turn on the dust. All right, that leaves us just one more to do. Let me check the width on this one. Well, maybe just a, all right, this one's just a smidge, like a smidge long, but that's okay. That's easy to fix. Just use my trusty dusty little way of doing that, which is to push it into the saw. Well, I have to loosen it first here. So I push it into the saw blade, then I raise the saw blade up. Let me turn the fan on. And then when I raise the blade up, so when I push it into the saw blade flexes just a tiny bit. When I raise it, the blade unflexes and then shaves like a 30-second off. It's a really great way of just getting a tiny bit of wood off of there. And that should have been perfect. And it is. There you go. So yeah, that using the flex of the blade, and basically all you're doing is you're pushing your board, that blade comes down, you push the board into the blade as it's down, and it flexes just a little bit. When you raise the blade back up, it unflexes, and now it'll cut just a tiny bit off. I don't remember where I learned that trick, but it's a great little trick. I use it all the time with my crosscut saw to just kind of really zero in on the length of something. You know, you talk about sneaking up on a cut, and that's a great way to do it with a crosscut saw. All right, this one, remarkably, they're all the same. All right, now I just have to figure out which end to use. Well, this end obviously has that wood filler in it, so we're gonna go with this end of the board because it's prettier. And make a mark right there. All right, let's get this last one cut, and then we can start rounding these and get them glued into the bases. Because that's really the last step on the bottom here. I mean, we're really kind of, construction-wise, we're getting down to the wire here. Really close to being done with these. Now, when I say done, I'm talking in terms of construction-wise. There we go. That's nice. And this end, also nice. All right. So these all fit now. Yeah, construction-wise, we're getting close to the end of the parts of cutting and doing whatnots. The last piece that really comes into play once we get these in and I get those lids kind of done is sanding and finishing. So these would not to take. Now I have to figure out what I'm going to use for a finish on these, and that's what I have not figured out yet. I'm going to lower this back down. There we go. You can see it just kind of fits in place. Well, you can't see because the banner's there, but anyway, that's why I made my table that way, so that it has a slot that I can stick tools in like that, and also that whole middle section can lift up and shift just a little bit, and it gives me a bench stop, which is very handy. So if you're making a bench, consider doing that. It's a great little addition. I need to find my nickel. So where's my lucky nickel, man? Please tell me my nickel's here. Oh, there it is. So the thing about using my 1/4 inch rabbiting bit is that the radius of the corners, after I've used it, the radius of the corners works out to be the same radius as a nickel right here. So let me go, a nickel. So there's my nickel right there. And it is the same radius as, let me see if I can find a good corner here to show you. So if you look at this corner right down here, this nickel fits perfectly. Well, I just dropped it under the table. That's the problem with having a table with holes in it. Stuff just drops through. Oh, come on. Where'd you go, nickel? I heard it drop. I gotta go find a nickel now. Are you kidding me? That was my lucky nickel. I'm not feeling confident now. I don't have my lucky nickel. All right, now you gotta wait. So I'm gonna hit the be right back. Take a minute of break while I go find a new lucky nickel. That one, obviously the luck had worn off. I'll be right back. That one, obviously the luck had worn off. I'll be right back. That one, obviously the luck had worn off. I'll be right back. That one, obviously the luck had worn off. I'll be right back. That one, obviously the luck had worn off. I'll be right back. That one, obviously the luck had worn off. I'll be right back. That one, obviously the luck had worn off. I'll be right back. That one, obviously the luck had worn off. I'll be right back. That one, obviously the luck had worn off. I'll be right back. That one, obviously the luck had worn off. I'll be right back. That one, obviously the luck had worn off. I'll be right back. That one, obviously the luck had worn off. I'll be right back. That one, obviously the luck had worn off. I'll be right back. That one, obviously the luck had worn off. I'll be right back. That one, obviously the luck had worn off. I'll be right back. That one, obviously the luck had worn off. I'll be right back. That one, obviously the luck had worn off. I'll be right back. That one, obviously the luck had worn off. I'll be right back. That one, obviously the luck had worn off. I'll be right back. That one, obviously the luck had worn off. I'll be right back. That one, obviously the luck had worn off. I'll be right back. That one, obviously the luck had worn off. I'll be right back. That one, obviously the luck had worn off. I'll be right back. That one, obviously the luck had worn off. I'll be right back. That one, obviously the luck had worn. All right. Time for lucky nickel number 2. It will fit in the radius. I'll show you that way. It fits in the radius of that corner. And what I end up doing is taking that and drawing that radius out on the corners of the boards here. Hang on. I'm sitting on my phone. I don't know how people put their phones in their back pockets. I just never understood that. Like all you women folks who I see girls doing it more than guys. How do you not crush your phones? I don't get it. You've just got more of a foam cushion back there in your backside, but I do have a bony butt, so not gonna lie. All right, and all I'm doing is drawing this radius out on so that I just basically have a pencil, the tip of the pencil basically on the wood, and I slide the nickel up to it, and then I just run that around. And all I'm doing is drawing those corners on here. I will take these off over at my circular sander, which I will have to flip up the cart for that. I've got that on a flip cart, and the planer is up there right now. So we're gonna have to do a little flipping here in a minute, but it actually goes pretty quick. Once I get these drawn on here, the actual sanding, I sand the corners off, and once I get going, they sand off pretty quickly. It takes nothing to get them sanded down. A big thing here is to keep the bases matched up with their owners, and that way we always get the right fit. Because remember, we kind of custom cut some of these to be just the right shape, and we don't, especially that first one there was slightly different than these. These would probably fit, these last two would probably be okay to fit into, like, to be swapped, but that first one, not so much, because it was definitely thinner. All right, get these radius drawn on here. I mean, it's going to take me longer to switch my machine over there than it is to get these, once I get it set up. Does not take long at all, which is great. That's what I love about it. And then from there, it's just a matter of putting some glue along that rabbet and then clamping these down. And I usually will try to use some clamping cauls, basically just long pieces of wood, and then clamp on that, and that longer piece of wood applies pressure across the face of of the piece of wood, instead of just clamping in one spot, you get pressure in one spot, but not necessarily across the entire width. So I like to use clamping cauls, basically just scrap pieces of wood that are kind of long to fit in there. Now this had a little chip out right there. So let me do this. Do it on the other side where there wasn't a chip out. There we go. The weird thing about this Baltic birch plywood that I've noticed is that it basically, and it's always like this, is it has two different colors to it. So like this side I'm working on right now is a little bit darker. And the other side is a little bit more, a little lighter color and a little blonder, I want to say. It's kind of weird. You would figure they would just use the same, but I guess it's only like the Baltic birch is only surfaced on one side. So that Baltic birch is kind of the whiter, I guess more blonde wood that they have on here. So I guess you just get one side. But then again, sometimes the knots they put on there are on that Baltic birch side, and it's not very attractive. And you know, you pay more for the Baltic birch because it should move my nickel. You're not lucky. You're not lucky. It should be clean because a lot of people use that as the exterior face of the wood. But you can see here, look how much brighter, how much darker that is. And this is much brighter. So I guess this is the face that you would use. Now this is much closer to the maple. Well, that maple is really a very, very light white colored wood, as opposed to this is a little bit more of a yellow tinge to it. So, but this is much darker, and all of them are like that. So I'm not sure why that is, but anyway, Lucky Nickel goes back to his home, and we need to switch camera views again. But we're gonna go, we're gonna go to this camera, and we're just gonna lock this in right here. Is that gonna work? I think so. We'll go to number 2. And what I've got over here is my planer already set up. So I need to move these boards out of the way and pull my flip top cart out. And this is a great space saver. A flip top cart is a great space saver in your shop. If you have two larger tools like a planer and like I have my 12-inch disc sander on the other side, this is something else. But I have like I said, I have my two large tools on here. So this cart allows you to basically just mount them to either side of the table. And there's a bar running through the middle here. And you flip it so that the tool that you want is sitting on top. So I will rotate this over, and up comes my disc sander. And both of these are fairly heavy tools. I wouldn't want to be lugging these around too much, but the cart's on wheels, so it makes it really super easy to move this wherever I need it and then just slide it out of the way when I don't. So, yep, love this thing. Love it, love it, love it. There we go. Now I do have to kind of turn it around to get the side over here that I need forward. Just like that. This is a Harbor Freight circular disc sander. 12-inch direct drive bench top disc sander is what they call it. Price-wise, depending, you can pick them up from anywhere from $150 to $200 usually. You know, check their site for, you know, their coupons and things like that. And but oh my God, I love this thing. Now, you know, not all Harbor Freight tools are great. This is a great Harbor Freight tool. I'm going to tell you right now. I wish this was cast iron. It's aluminum. That's the only iffy thing about it. But and then the other thing is you need to make sure. Mine's pretty good at it, but you always want to try kind of make sure that this tabletop is square to your sanding surface. And see, like mine is off a little bit. So it's kind of a pain to fix that. You gotta loosen handles and get it just like this. So I need to get this just in the right spot and lock it back down again. It doesn't really matter when you're doing a flat piece of wood like I'm getting ready to do. Like this plywood is very flat, so having that angle off, not really a big deal. But if I was doing a thicker piece of wood that you want to have a nice 90-degree, edge to from the flat surface here, it pays to check every now and then. And like I said, that's the big thing with this is the aluminum table. And it does have a little bit of flex to it and stuff. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these and I'm just going to put it on here and I'm just going to work back and forth this way to round off to that little edge. And yeah, let's go ahead and do those. But I got an idea. Let's plug it in first and then put some dust collection on there because I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Just a little bit. There's not going to be a lot of dust from these, but every bit that we capture in the dust collection is a little bit that we don't have to breathe. So that's a good thing. So let me move this over here. And it does have a dust port right here. So I can just plug that into the dust port on the side. Plug the power in over here. And there we go. And it's actually a pretty quiet tool. The dust collection is going to be loud. This tool, here, listen. Once it gets up to speed, it's pretty quiet. This thing, on the other hand, the dust collection, not so much. I need my remote. Okay, gonna go ahead and round these corners. All right, once I get that rounded like that, so you can see that those edges are now, over here. Those edges are now round. And then what I'll do is just get the base that it matches up to, and I will do a test fit. There you go. Just that simple. That base is done. So on to the next one. You'll see so basically what I'm doing here is I use one finger on the wood as a pivot point, and I usually, pardon my French, I spit on my fingers just to get it so that it's grippier. But I pivot, and then as I'm pivoting, I'm pushing into the sanding disc a little bit as I'm working it back and forth. And then I sand right up to that line that I drew with the nickel. too. All right. And that is number 3. So you can see that was actually really quick. Once you get stuff set and in the right position, it's really simple to get them in there. That's that's usually the easy. That's why I kind of save it for last sometimes, because it's the easiest thing to do is to get these fitted in here. And they look really great. I mean, that looks great. You can see the inside, nice and clean on the inside. It matches all the way up inside there. You can see nice clean lines. So that's kind of why I go with these type of bottoms instead of doing an inset bottom or something like that. I just find that they look nice, they're functional, they're not weight bearing, so they don't have to be super sturdy, and they're easy for me to kind of get cut and put in there. So now what I need to do is I need to get 1, 2, 3, 4 clamps. Need clamps. Got glue over here, and I need some clamping cauls, which basically, like I said, is just scrap wood. Shh. The only thing about this is it squeaks as it gets down to the end of the, there we go. As it gets down to the very end, it's like squeak, 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 squeak. It's kind of a little annoying. So I'm gonna find some blocks of wood to use in my scrap pile here. So pardon my vacancy for just a moment, but this is kind of the easy thing to do, is just find some blocks of wood that I will use to clamp on here. Now I do this on every single one, so, oop, my hose clamp just fell off here. All right, didn't mean to moon you all there. So what I'm looking for are some longer pieces, and that, like I said, applies clamping pressure across the length of the base, and then some on the end, like this, that will just, I'm going to use this end, that apply pressure across the width. And that's all there is to it. So I will take these off. I will put a bead of glue, and I use just a little bit of glue in here. I mean, when I say a little bit, I mean, I glue it, but it's just I put a thin bead all the way around is what I aim at. It's just a thin bead to go around the interior, because the thing is, you will get squeeze out if you use too much too, and that can be a little harder to clean up if you get squeeze out. So like I said, I'm just running a really super thin bead in here, and a little bit over here, and a little here. There we go. Let's see if you can see. So there's that thin bead that I use right around it. You can see that right around the perimeter. Just a thin bead. I think I will have the lighter color on the inside. So when you take the machine out, you'll see the lighter color, which more closely matches the color of the wood being used in the base. Now I do have a little bit of squeeze out there. Let me just grab a paper towel here, wipe it down a little bit here. Glue is so messy, man. You know, it's necessary, but ugh, so messy. And then I'll check on the inside, a little bit of squeeze out there, which I hate, but I will take care of that in a minute. I will use my straw trick for that. Okay, it's not mine. I didn't invent it, but it works. So now all I need to do is grab a clamp here, start clamping these down. So one reason why I like these clamps is they have a very flat beam across the bottom here. So you can see that this part right here is very flat, which allows me to get it a little deeper because this is difficult to clamp these because your clamp wants to twist because you're not clamping a flat piece of wood, you're clamping the edge of a board. But because that is a nice flat piece on there, stop it. It allows me to get this just where I need it and get some clamping pressure on there. Like that. Yeah, see, and it's very hard to do. This is probably the most difficult clamping job that I do because you have to have it right near the edge here. All right, try this again. Get off of there. All right, hold this right here. Let's try that again. Okay. Oh, it shifts one little bit and then it'll come loose. Such a pain sometimes, such a pain. Oh, and also because this has a really super thin lip right there, that doesn't help. I forgot about that. So it's got a really super thin lip that it's working on right here. So I might have to actually run this. Actually, let me hang it off the edge here. Probably a little easier to hang it off the edge. I forgot about that lip under there, which is thinner because of the rabbet on the bottom too. That makes it totally different and much more. There we go. Hanging off the edge helps a little bit. I can kind of get a better grip on it. But yeah, I completely forgot about that thin edge on the bottom because it's got the rabbet edge for the board or for the machine to sit in. And that makes it even more difficult to get this latch down on it. So if I come off the edge here, and I have to go right up on the edge of this thing to really get it to work right. There we go. All right. Now I can do the long sides. Same process. Same process there. And very gentle with this, even though it's clamping, I've got a lot of clamping pressure. If I bump the clamp sideways, it will pop out and there goes all my clamping pressure. So it's kind of weird the way this works. But because I've got that thin edge on the other side, there's less wood for me to actually clamp with. Because I completely forgot about that. All right, that should work. Let me run in and grab something. I will be right back. Hang on I'm going to show you a little trick here. Hang on, I'll be right back. I'm going to show you a little trick here. Hang on, I'll be right back. I'm going to show you a little trick here. Hang on, I'll be right back. I'm going to show you a little trick here. Hang on, I'll be right back. I'm going to show you a little trick here. Hang on, I'll be right back. I'm going to show you a little trick here. Hang on, I'll be right back. I'm going to show you a little trick here. Hang on, I'll be right back. I'm going to show you a little trick here. Hang on, I'll be right back. I'm going to show you a little trick here. Hang on, I'll be right back. I'm going to show you a little trick here. Hang on, I'll be right back. I'm going to show you a little trick here. Hang on, I'll be right back. I'm going to show you a little trick here. Hang on, I'll be right back. I'm going to show you a little trick here. Hang on, I'll be right back. I'm going to show you a little trick here. Hang on, I'll be right back. I'm going to show you a little trick here. Hang on, I'll be right back. I'm going to show you a little trick here. Hang on, I'll be right back. I'm going to show you a little trick here. Hang on, I'll be right back. I'm going to show you a little trick here. Hang on, I'll be right back. Okay, I told you I'd be right back. All right, so here's a little trick. If you're doing a glue up, now I'm going to try to not screw up my clamps here. And they are all the same size, so hopefully it'll rest like this. What you need to do to get the glue out of the corners, because if you're gluing a box or something, you're going to have this problem. You're going to get a little squeeze out in the corners. Get yourself some straws. These are just regular drinking straws. Actually, these are better because they're flexi drinking straws. But you get yourself a straw, and what you do is you force that straw into the corner, and the straw will go from round to kind of adhering to that corner angle, and then you just run it through the glue and it will scoop up any glue that has accumulated in that corner. And you want to do this kind of early on. That got underneath there. But yeah, so that it basically cleans out any squeeze out that you get in the corners, and makes your life a lot easier in the end, because getting squeeze out from a corner can be very difficult. A lot of people will try to wait until the glue skims over, gets that little fleshy kind of cover to it. The problem I find with that is it's very much a timing thing, and if your timing is off and you forget, and then it gets too hard to do that too. So, but if you just do this with a straw right off the bat, it's really simple. You kind of take those little beads out there. It just collects right in the straw. It collects right in the end. And yeah, you got a nice clean edge inside with no glue squeeze out. So when you get ready to do your, now this one has a little bit in the corner here. It's kind of a pain. But when you get ready to do your finishing, you're not going to have to mess with that glue squeeze out. So yeah, pretty cool little trick. I did not invent this one either. I'm sure, I can't remember who did this one first, but anyway, I might have seen this in a magazine or whatever, but so all that squeeze out now that was inside has now been cleaned out. And now I can just set this, and in a couple of hours, they'll be good. I won't mess with them for longer than that. But a couple of hours is probably more than enough to get them cleaned up. But anyway, that glue trick will save you time and frustration later on when you have to go and do staining and such inside your box, and then you've got these big lumps of glue in the corner that do not stain, and they are difficult to remove. So just a little helpful hint. All right, next one. I need some more cauls here. So let me find some more pieces of wood to clamp with. Just kind of digging in the piles here. Got lots of scraps. And it has to be a thicker piece of wood usually, because you want it to be able to apply pressure along a long surface area. And so you sometimes you need to find those pieces of wood that are going to be just the right size. Now, my corners here, I'm trying to find pieces that are not going to be too wide. See, that's my problem, is on these end pieces. Oops, sorry about that. On these end pieces, I need pieces that are not quite that wide. Let me check my other scrap box here. I have more than one scrap box. Don't we all? That's not a bad piece right there. Maybe this piece right here. Nope, that one's too big. All right, I need one more scrap piece of wood to go in the edge here. Hang on a minute. All right. So sometimes it takes me longer to find the wood than it does to do the glue up. So I've got 2 short pieces, 2 long pieces. We can put some glue in here. I need to figure out which side I want. Now this has a knot on one side, so I will not choose this, even though this is the lighter side. And like I said, this is the Baltic birch side, but it has this knot in there, which is not very attractive. So I'll put the knot on the underside, and we'll use this side as the inside of the, because honestly, you may see the knot, but only if you ever lift the box and turn it upside down, which you would almost never do. So I'm going to say, yeah. Now the other thing I'm going to do, which I should have done on the other one, but I didn't really notice any of it, is just knock. Some of these have a little bit of fuzz from the sander on them. So just make sure that's knocked off of there. And then put my bead of glue in here, and off we go. Bead of glue. It's not a lot of glue, that's for sure. Just. But honestly, I've never had a bottom fail. I mean, doing this method, I've never had one just fall out, pop out. I think part of that is because I, I give ample time for the clamps to set up and work, which I see some people pull their clamps early. And I'm a firm believer in just let this stuff set, man. It's not hurting anything to set there. There's no speed record associated with this stuff. So you let it set up, your chances of success are much better. At least that's what I have found. But I've never had one of these bottoms pop out after it's been thoroughly glued. And like I said, I use the clamping cauls so that this glue is really getting applied to the entire perimeter of this base bottom here. So it's been working for me so far. I'm not going to mess with success. I wish I had a little bit more meat down on the bottom there to put these clamps on, but I think I've sort of got it figured out here. So that's those. And then we'll get the middles done here. This one, actually, I've got a piece of tape. I don't know if you can see that. So there's some packing tape on here. I was clamping something else. Now, is this gonna? Oh, it's not gonna fit. Shoot, shoot. This one doesn't fit. Is this one gonna fit? Neither of these are gonna fit. This one's gonna fit, but not on this side. Unless I go this way. That's really tall. So these are a little long, which is kind of a pain in the butt. Pardon my French, but it is. So this needs to get cut down. This one I can use over here. Let me do this one first. I'll cut this other one down in a minute. It doesn't really matter. I've got packing tape on these. You can put packing tape if you think you're going to need a lot of squeeze out. Use packing tape on the underside of your clamping cauls, and they will not stick to the glue. So another little good helpful hint. Just a little packing tape on there is a good thing. Let me get this one tightened down. And that is not tightened down, it is loose. Gotta get it in the right spot here. Right here. Okay, that should be in the right spot. And then this one, how much do I need to cut off of here? I'm just gonna run this over to the bandsaw real quick and choppy choppy. Right there. Right there. All right. Time for a quick bandsaw chop here. This won't take long. Usually it takes longer for the saw to stop than it does for me to make the cut. Ugh. Listen to those bearings. Terrible. I do need a new bandsaw, that is for sure. That one's okay, but I need one that I can put a big giant blade on and be confident in it. Like I would like a 3/4 inch blade for doing resawing. That would be awesome. All right, I'm gonna put this on here. And let's flip it and see if we've got any glue squeeze out in here. A little bit on this end down here. We'll grab a straw and let's clean this out. Excuse me. Okay. Nice, got that done. Get the other corner here. Flip it over. Nice clean corner there. A little bit over here. Now, it's not perfect, but honestly, it leaves such a small amount of glue that probably not going to be noticeable when you do your finishing. And that's kind of the key. So a little bit right here. And it really does. I mean, it gets right down in the corner and just scoops it all up. So, I mean, that's the best part of it all. It just gets right in that corner and then scoops it up. Now, this corner, kind of a pain in the rear. But I think we're good. All right, number 2, done. Get this one over here. Set this one down. Now, unfortunately, I do not have like 12 of those clamps. Those are great clamps, by the way. Those are my little 6-inch Bessie clamps. I don't have 12 of them. I actually have 10 of them, I believe. So here's 2. But I have some larger ones, some larger 6-inch or so. I've got some giant ones here. We'll just use the giant ones. What the heck? What the heck? Yeah. Yep. So I'll use these big giant ones here. They still work. They're a little bigger than I'd like, but they work. Clamping cauls. Once again, digging into the clamping cauls here. Let's see. You know, I might have. Let me check my box here. My clamping bracket box. Sometimes I have cauls up here. So let's see. Yep, there's one. And there's a nice one. Oh, that's really long. That may be too long. I think that one's too long. How about you? You look pretty good. Yep, that'll work. There's a couple of them. I don't have any short ones in here though. So I have to find some more short ones. All right. On the hunt for sharpening ones, for short ones. Just make sure these 2 long ones work here. So there's one. There's one. Yep. And just need a couple. I just need a couple of blocks. Is really all I need. All right, I'm going back down to the box down here because I know I've got a couple of blocks in here that'll work. I just got to dig in the right spot. Just got to dig in the right spot. The problem is I got a lot of MDF in here too, which is kind of a pain. Got a lot of MDF. There we go. There's some small blocks down here. Okay, there's one. That's perfect. And I need one more small block. There's 2. All right. And there are even maple blocks, or even flame maple blocks. Look at that. All right. 1, 2. Got it. This is a little thicker than I wanted, but there we go. That works. As long as we can get these around the perimeters, I think we're good. All right. I think I'll do the big ones first because they might be a little easier to work with. Let's get the glue going here. And then we'll pretty much be wrapped up for the day, I think. Because I gotta do a couple things before I get ready to go get my vaccine. And honestly, there's not much. I mean, I do need to cut one more CNC cut to make that lid, but I will. That's easy. That takes 4 minutes to cut once I get it set up, so it's pretty easy. All right, I think that was the side I wanted in. It was. I'll glue squeeze out on this one now. So let's get this going. I might get that glue squeeze out before I get these other pieces in here. So I'm gonna have to come off the edge with this. I'll use this clamp right here. Now, this one does not have that flat bottom, so I really kind of have to come right to the edge with this one. But it does have a lot of rubber surface on here. Ah, see, it just tipped on me. Dang it. This is tough. Gonna bring it in just a hair more because it's tipping on me. Okay, I think that'll hold. And then it's just gonna be, yeah, it's fine. All right, let's do this one. Hopefully that one doesn't get knocked off at the other end. And clamp this down. These are also Bessie clamps. They're really nice Bessie clamps. Yeah, I've definitely got a little bit of squeeze out on this one. I need to get, I'm going to get it out right now. Well, I've got this like this because it'll just be easier than trying to get the get it turned upside down with the other clamps on there. Let me find one more fresh straw here. Perfect. Okay. And a little bit this way. There we go. And maybe, hang on a second, a little bit more if I squeeze that. There we go. Now, do the same thing up here. I'm going to squeeze this a little bit, see if I can't get some of this glue out of here before I put those other clamps on. And that actually worked out really nice. You say that, but this end down here looks gross. Okay, one more. All right, that's pretty good. I can go ahead and get these other clamps on now. So gently set this up to not knock those clamps off. Get rid of these straws. And it seems awfully wasteful. Actually, you know what I could do? Is I could cut the ends of these straws off and then still use them. So there we go. So I still have usable straws now. Instead of just wasting them all, just cut them down. All right. Clamping calls. Right here. There's a short one. Like this. Come on. Lift up. Sit down. Like this. All right. Let's see if we can get this one locked in place. That feels good. Moment. One more to go. And we will be all done. Una más. Por favor. Of course, this has got the tape on there, so it doesn't want to sit right on the edge. There we go. All right. Oh, dang it. Oh, come on. Oh, it's so hard to do. That thin edge on the other side is really making this difficult. I think I got it though. I got it. All right. There it is. Leave it be. Not going to touch it. Oh, of course. I just knocked one off. Let me put this one back on here. Try to get this back on here. Get it straight. Get enough. Oh, and then the other one just fell off. Dang it. Okay, there's one. All right, guys, come on. Help me out here, would you? Just stay glued for just a moment. There you go. There you go. Glued. That's it. Okay. Not going to touch it. Clamping calls are in place. I'm not touching them. They're good. Okay, well, we got some stuff done today. We got the lids flattened, so they look really nice. This last one, like I said, needs to be. This is the weird one, so I'm going to recut this. I've got things basically all set up over there. I just need to hook up the dust collection and put the power on there. I'll pull up the computer, which I didn't turn on today. It's kind of odd. I usually have that on. But I'll pull up the computer. The file's already there. It'll make the cut. It's like I said, it's 4 minutes to make a cut. And then I'll measure that one off of the one that didn't have one. And do the same thing we did today. I'll flatten it out, make it look pretty. And then when you come back on Wednesday, hopefully you come back on Wednesday. And when you come back, we will go ahead and start sanding these things down. I will see about pulling up, you know, I might use these little clamping claws right here because this is the same wood. It's that flamey maple. And maybe we'll look at a couple of different options for staining these. If not staining, but finishing them. I think I need to go to the store and get some more shellac. Because shellac does beautiful things with like flame maple. It does some really nice stuff. So we might do some shellac on these. We might do some oil on them. I don't know. So we've got a couple pieces here we can use for testing. And I've got this lid right here I can use for testing because obviously I'm not going to be using this for a base. So we've got some wood that we can use for samples for doing some testing for finishes. We need to sand these things. We also need to do edge rounding on these. So don't forget, I always do an 1/8 inch round over on all the edges just to make them really, really soft and nice to touch. So we'll do an 1/8 inch round over on these. We will do some sanding on them and then they're ready for finish. I mean, it's going to be that quick. And then once that's done and the finish is on, that's money in the bank, more or less. Got to sell them, but these will sell really well. I have no doubt. So anyway, excellent, great. Good job today. Wednesday. So Wednesday, my son is coming over in the afternoon, I think, and he wants to make what does he want to make? He wants to make a dog treadmill for his dog. Apparently he found plans online to make a treadmill for a dog. So I think we're going to go to the hardware store on Wednesday and search for supplies and such that he needs to make a doggy treadmill. So depending on how that works, maybe I'll film it and share that with you all. So we'll see. I will at least take pictures and put them up on my Facebook page. So let's go ahead and get this wrapped up. Once again, I appreciate anybody stopping in. Didn't have any comments today. Didn't have any stuff going on in the comment boxes, but that's okay. Hopefully you picked up a hint or two. Saw something that you liked. If so, you know, you can always leave a comment later. It doesn't have to be live. You can leave me comments later. I always appreciate the comments. And if you want to, hit the like button or the subscribe button or the follow button or whatever is appropriate for the platform you're on. That really helps me out and I would really appreciate it. Other than that, have a fantastic Monday, and take care of yourself, take care of each other, stay safe, wear your mask, you know, all those good things, all right? Take care, see you on Wednesday. All those good things, all right? Take care, see you on Wednesday. All those good things, all right? Take care, see you on Wednesday. All those good things, all right? Take care, see you on Wednesday. All those good things, all right? Take care, see you on Wednesday. All those good things, all right? Take care, see you on Wednesday. All those good things, all right? Take care, see you on Wednesday. All those good things, all right? Take care, see you on Wednesday. All those good things, all right? Take care, see you on Wednesday. All those good things, all right? Take care, see you on Wednesday. All those good things, all right? Take care, see you on Wednesday. All those good things, all right? Take care, see you on Wednesday. All those good things, all right? Take care, see you on Wednesday. All those good things, all right? Take care, see you on Wednesday. All those good things, all right? Take care, see you on Wednesday. All those good things, all right? Take care, see you on Wednesday.